Good morning, everyone. I think we finally have gotten spring around here on the east coast of the good old USA, depending on where you are. So, let's see what we're going to talk about today. I did a mic check tutorial. It's up on my YouTube channel with some medium shotgun mics. When I interview people, so I have obviously a microphone on me, typically a DJI Mic 2, but I need to record the people on this side of the camera. And I tested a couple microphones that I will consider using for interviewing the person on the other side of the camera. Usually they're about 4 feet away from me. Usually I'm that close. So the iPhone mic will pick them up, but I wanted some better alternatives. So I'm doing a series of mic checks. I've decided based on my tutorial that we'll get to in a minute, that I know the mic that I'll be using for the most part, but I have one more. You know what I'm going to do? So here's the deal. I have the DJI Mic 2, of course, and it's fantastic. DJI pioneered this case. Nobody had this before DJI did, and you can see all the microphones lighting up in there, and you can see the receiver lighting up in there. So when I record live or whatever, I always have one of these on me, wherever I put it, somewhere like this, 6 inches away. So this is one of the main microphones, but that's my microphone. I need to capture audio on the other side. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, you know, DJI pioneered this case. Everybody copied them after DJI did this. The battery, built-in battery in here, receiver, touchscreen receiver, 2 transmitters that record audio, backup audio. This is DJI. 100% nobody did this with the case. They all copied DJI. Now they all do it. As a matter of fact, where's the other one? This is my backup audio, the Boya mic, and they copied DJI years after DJI did it. They have a really good microphone system. Once again, you can record audio inside the transmitter. One of the neat things about the Boya mic system, it has a mic line switch. So not only can you record a lapel mic, you can also record from a mixing board or mixing console. They have a mic line switch, which is phenomenal. So this is my backup. If I need to record 4 audio channels rather than just 2. And this is fantastic. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll get started here. Good morning from our friend over there on the X platform, iNobody. And I have today sent a bug report to Apple regarding compressor not starting to encode files from Final Cut Pro. The only difference from when it works seems to be 15.3 update of the OS. Yeah, I don't usually record with compressor. I think most of my stuff is pretty much just coming straight out of Final Cut, for the most part. I mean, I think Final Cut does a fine job. Now, I did update to 11.0.3. Let me just adjust this a little bit. I did update to 11.0.3, and I'm sorry, 11.0.1. Not 11.0.3. 11.0.1, because I'm done with my documentary for the foreseeable future. I didn't want to update until I got that done, and that worked out completely fine. I started using the MKU400 during COVID. It's an excellent for ENG street interviews using an iPhone. Have not used it with Final Cut camera. Well, it should be the same, right? So that is this one. This is the MKE, the Sennheiser MKE 400, which is superb. This is a superb medium shotgun microphone. This is the one that I've been testing for talent in front of the camera, on the other side of the camera for me, when I'm interviewing somebody live on the street. I highly recommend this. Phenomenal. Now, I plug this in to a DJI mic transmitter. I plug it into the transmitter and I got a backup recording, or I plug it into the Boya mic transmitter and I have a backup recording as well as going into my iPhone. So this is a really, really good, a highly recommended microphone for in my case, for shooting on the talent side of the camera. Now, I'm on the big screen side of the camera. I'm on this side of the camera when I shoot. Is this the front or the back? I always get that confused. To me, the front is the person on the other side. When I say front, I mean the person on the other side, the talent. But I'm not sure if this is the front or this is the front, technically. But I call the other side the front side and this the back side. Maybe that's not industry standard. I don't know. How's everybody doing today? We finally got spring. We finally, on the East Coast of the good old USA, we finally got spring. Let's see what this comment says. The only problem I have with the DJI Mic 2 is that if you have misplaced your dead cat, you cannot buy a new set of cat. I cannot find the two that came with my mic possible for V1, not V2. So, by the way, once again, the DJI mic pioneered, I have my wind muffs. The DJI mic pioneered a superior way of doing a wind muff. There's no putting it on and trying to turn it and lock it into place. It's a little teeny thing you just plug into the mic jack. Simple. Once again, DJI pioneered that. It's very simple. No trying to locate things and twist it in place. Just plug it into the mic jack. And you have a wind muff. Superior design from DJI. Big fan of DJI. I know, buddy, business end like a gun. The back camera is the selfie camera. That's what I thought. I thought the back camera is the one facing me and the front-facing camera is facing the talent. When I refer to that in my tutorials, that's what I'm talking about. Front-facing camera is the one facing the talent. So the front-facing camera to me are these three cameras. The other camera is the back-facing camera towards me. Whatever the industry standard is, that's what when I refer to it, that's what I'm talking about. So that's one thing we're going to go over with today. I tested 4 microphones. I recorded all 4 microphones simultaneously because I had 4 transmitters that record backup audio. I'm not interested in a mic system that doesn't record backup audio. I'm just not interested. The transmission can be interrupted and your audio is ruined. But if you have a backup audio recorder, in my case I have 4, 2 DJI Mic 2s and 2 Boya Mic 2s, both of them record backup audio, the transmission can be interrupted and I still have a pristine copy of the audio recorded in the transmitter. I'm not interested in a mic that doesn't do that. I'm not interested in a wireless mic system that doesn't have the ability to put a lapel mic in. Okay? Those are 2 things. The other thing I'm not interested in a mic system that you need a USB-C cable to plug into the mic to the iPhone. If it doesn't plug directly into the iPhone, both the DJI and the Boya mic plug directly into the iPhone. You don't need a cable dangling around and figure out where to put it. You just plug it into the iPhone with a USB-C connection. Those are things that I personally need with my wireless mic system in 2025. Backup audio, direct plug into the phone, and what else is, lapel mic. You got to have a space for a lapel mic. Because sometimes I go to a place and I want to record off the mixing board. Okay? So I need a place to plug the mixing board into my transmitters. Now, once again, the Boya mic has a mic line setting. Phenomenal idea. So if I got to record from a mixing board, I'll get an XLR to 1/8 inch jack. I have an adapter, plug it into the Boya mic, switch on to line level, and I should be good to go. Getting great audio from the mixing board. Audio is something that audio is something that a lot of people, video editors, sometimes need a little tutorial on. Richard, when you record to the iPhone and to the mic at the same time, which version of the audio do you prefer to use, and how do you add the file from the mic to Final Cut Pro? So if I'm just recording one or two mics and I have the receiver plugged into the phone, usually I'll just use the video file version that I'm recording of the audio. And I always split it up inside of Final Cut Pro. I take it off of stereo and put it on dual mono. That way I can adjust each microphone independent of the other one. Volume, EQ, compression, whatever I want. So if I have a mic facing to the talent and a mic, and of course me, I use a DJI mic on me. Sometimes with lapel, I'm more apt to use lapel nowadays. Put the mic in my pocket and just put a little lapel up here. I'll use that. But like in this tutorial that I'm going to show you, I've recorded 4 mics simultaneously. So I recorded all the mics locally into the transmitter. And I use that. So what I do is I have the iPhone audio as the main audio to sync to. So I'll just bring all 4 audio clips from the mics into Final Cut Pro and I'll sync them up visually. I can do a sync inside of Final Cut, but in my case, I need to have access to all the different mics to turn them on and off and titles. You'll see in a minute how I did that. That's the way I do it. That's the way I prefer to do it. Does anybody have any Final Cut Pro news? Radio silence, radio silence, radio spring silence. We'll see if the Final Cut Pro team indeed has anything for us before NAB. Let me get... I was practicing a little bit before we went live. My 69 Strat. This is my main guitar that I've written most of my songs on. I play with that quite a bit. Play with that quite a bit. So you'll see when the tutorial, I'll bring the tutorial up in a minute. Thank you. I keep everything in separate tracks. I turn things on and off. If I had it in a compound clip, I'd have to open the compound clip to edit and then close the compound clip. I don't want to do that. It's very clunky. Could I do it in multicam? Yes, I could, but I like to visually, I could do it in multicam, I guess. Just have all the tracks of audio separate. I'll have to try that and see if that's better for the technique that I do. So let's go over here. Since we're talking about it, I'll bring it up. And we'll watch a little bit. Let's go ahead and let me see. Where am I? Me plus screen. Here we go. So this is a tutorial that I did on the mics. All right, I'm going to test two different medium shotgun microphones, the DJI Mic 2 and the built-in iPhone 16 Pro Max microphones. I want to see which ones pick up the best audio for talent when I'm interviewing them in front of the camera. Normally I'll be behind the camera and I can use my DJI Mic 2 without any issue. It picks up very clearly. So if you notice, I have the name of the mic that you're listening to over there on the screen. Every time I switch microphones, the name of the mic will come on so you can listen to it and judge which one you like. I'm about 3 to 4 feet away from the iPhone 16 Pro Max. For medium shotguns, I'm using the Sennheiser MKE 400. And I'm using the SC Electronics microphone, which was one that I used for years. The MKE 400 is going into the second DJI Mic 2 transmitter, and the SC Electronics is going into a Boya mic transmitter. All the microphones are being recorded locally in the transmitters. The DJI mic's recording in the transmitter, the MKE 400 is being recorded in the transmitter, and the SC Electronics mic is being recorded in the Boya mic transmitter. Of course, the iPhone is just recording its own audio with its own microphones inside of the 16 Pro Max. Sorry. So let me put that back on there. If you haven't seen Becoming Led Zeppelin, I highly recommend it. Make sure to go to an IMAX theater. Great sound. I absolutely am going to see that documentary. I'm a big fan of Led Zeppelin. They're one of my top 10 favorite rock groups, especially classic rock groups of all times. Jimmy Page was an incredible original guitarist. He took blues and basic rock and roll and went way beyond that. As a songwriter and a guitar player, I saw Zeppelin, the original Zeppelin, back when I was a teenager at the Baltimore Civic Center the first time. They were phenomenal. I saw them at, I think, the Cap Center as well, maybe one or two other times. They were always, always very, very good. So I absolutely will be seeing Becoming Led Zeppelin. So let's get back to our little video tutorial on the microphones. To complicate things a little bit, the iPhone 16 Pro Max have 4 different ways you can choose the microphones, but not in Final Cut Pro. It's not available. But I can do it on the Mac and the Photos app. Audio mix on the Macintosh from the file that I imported in Final Cut Pro. What do you think? I'm going to switch back and forth. I'm recording the exact same audio at the exact same time to 4 different microphones. And I'll switch back and forth on the video and let you see which ones you like. Now, once again, this is for talent in front of the camera when I'm behind the camera interviewing somebody. We'll line them up on a Final Cut Pro timeline, and so that's how I do this. That's how I did this tutorial. I've done these many, many times. I need direct access to all of the titles because I switched titles, and I need direct access to them. I don't want to be jumping in and out of a compound clip or a synchronized clip. I need access to all the individual titles, and I need access to all the individual audio files as I go back and forth. So in this case, this is what I do. This is how I do these tutorials. Direct access, not clicking inside and outside of a compound clip, which I find extremely clunky. They have their use. Not inside of a synchronized clip. I need direct clickable access so I can mute and unmute titles and audio files. Now I manually sync these audio files up with the main video file. I did, a clap at the beginning so I could sync it up that way, and everything's fine. It works very, very well. A Final Cut Pro timeline and compare them, A/B. Now, I will adjust the different volumes so they're approximately the same, but I won't do any noise reduction and I won't do any EQ or compression. Do you like the Sennheiser MKE 400? Do you like the SE Electronics microphone? Those are both medium shotguns. Do you like the DJI Mic 2 native? Or do you like the iPhone 16 Pro Max microphones? Let me know in the comments below. My name is Taylor, and I'll talk to you next time. So the external mics all sound great, though with different sound characters. I have my preference. I mean, I use the DJI mic on me all the time. That's what I like. If I'm just going to do a interview with somebody and going to be talking for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I'll give them a second DJI mic. So we'll both have the same microphones. But that's not normally how I interview people. Normally, I'll just walk up to them, and whatever mic I have turned on, that's what they get picked up by. I don't mic them separately. So I have my preference on which one of those mics I work. The interesting thing is that we still don't have, after 6 months, we don't have the ability to record the iPhone 4 microphone audio mix in Final Cut Pro. After 6 months, the phone came out in September of last year. Here it is March of the following year, and we still don't have the ability to choose one of those 4 microphones from the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's amazing that hasn't been incorporated, but the Photos app has it. So the Photos app team has access to those for the audio mix in the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but Final Cut Pro does not. That doesn't make any sense to me. iPhone picked up more room echo, absolutely. It does, and normally I'd be recording, with the exception of if I was at NAB or the Creative Summit. Of course, there's lots of crowd noise going on, so I'd want to get as close to the talent as possible, but it's going to be a bit more echoey. Sennheiser and DJI sound similar. I'm surprised, but maybe if I heard a longer clip. I prefer using lavs when not doing run and gun. I do too. So I have a, what is this? This is the lab that I normally use with the DJI mic, and it is what kind? I forget what kind it is, but it has a right angle jack because the DJI, you really can't see it, but the DJI mic, the transmitter, has a place for the cable to go behind the mic clip, and then you just plug it in like this, and it doesn't pull out. You don't need a locking mechanism. It won't pull out. The DJI mic clip has a special place for the wire to go, and I use a right angle clip, right angle plug, and like I said, it doesn't pull out. There's no danger of it pulling out. This is I forget which brand this is. This is one of the brands that has their own system. I forget what it is, but this is the one that I use, a right angle. And I agree with you. I'm more apt to use a lapel these days and put this in my pocket, run the wire inside my shirt, etc. The ability to do that would be a nice update in 11.0.2 for the people who have upgraded. As a 15 Pro Max user, I would, of course, prefer other features as well. Well, since the Photos app has it, the information is in the QuickTime file. Okay? The audio mix information with the 4 selections is in the QuickTime file. There's nothing special you have to do, just have access to it. So what I did was, when I was wondering about what was going on, why Final Cut didn't have it, so I imported the audio, the video clip from my iPhone 16 Pro Max to the Mac. Nothing special. And then I took it and drug it to the Photos app, and all 4 microphones were available in the Photos app. There's nothing special going on there, Final Cut Pro team. Take the Photos app people out to lunch and see how they did that. There's no reason not to have it inside of Final Cut. Absolutely none. And Logic Pro. I haven't checked Logic Pro. But like today, I could have used 1, 2, 3, or 4 if I had it inside of Final Cut to improve the sound of the iPhone microphone when I did the comparison. But since it's not in Final Cut, didn't have the access to it. It seems like such a simple thing to add. That should not be the main feature they add in 11.0.2 whenever that comes out. Just, it's a simple solution. It's got to be just very simple. The Photos app has it. There's no reason why Final Cut Pro doesn't have it, especially since 2 years ago when they introduced the cinematic mode on the iPhone. Final Cut Pro was updated within weeks to include cinematic mode. This time we have the audio mix feature on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. 6 months later, Final Cut Pro still can't access that. I can monitor audio with headphones with the MKE 400. What about the other mic setup? No. The SC Electronics doesn't have the ability to monitor audio. Now this, I don't think this mic is available anymore. This is the one that I used for years because it was the best. It was nice, loud, medium shotgun. But I don't think it's available. I have 2 of these. I'll probably be selling one of them. We'll have to see. I don't need 2 of them, but this is the one that I used for years as a medium shotgun. But I can monitor audio with, let me see something here. Yeah, I can monitor audio with the DJI Mic 2. You have both a regular output for a DSLR camera and you have a headphone output for headphones. So I can monitor audio with the DJI system, and I believe with the Boya mic as well. Let's double check that. Yeah, the Boya mic has the same deal. It has the ability to monitor a direct line output for a DSLR camera and a headphone output for monitoring. That's important, of course. My guess is the Final Cut Pro team is waiting to add an audio mixer, but the Photos app team didn't have to wait. It's in the information's in the QuickTime file. There's nothing special you have to do. You send the file over to Final Cut, the information is there, but Final Cut, after 6 months, cannot access that information, but the Photos app can. Nothing special, no special settings. The Photos app can access all 4 of those different mic audio mix settings, but Final Cut can't. It can't be that difficult if the Photos app team can do it. As far as an audio mixer, that should be coming. Maybe we'll get that in 11.1 if we have a Creative Summit, which I presume we're going to in November. That would be fantastic. But until the next November, November 2025, if we have a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, I hope we do, we'll probably see Final Cut Pro 11.1 at the Creative Summit, but between now and November, 7 or 8 months from now, we certainly should have a couple of features added to Final Cut. It's been 5 months, let me see, December, January, February, March, 4 months with no new features. So we're certainly due for a feature update. Now, whether that's 11.0.2 or 11.0.3 makes no difference. So they certainly should be giving us some features before 11.1 at the Creative Summit. Probably we're getting 11.1. Who in the heck knows? Who in the heck knows? All righty. Just checking on things. Interestingly, I can see comments from Facebook, but I don't get a count in Facebook. We got comments and stuff from both YouTube, Facebook, and X. Now, here's something about these live streams on Facebook. Facebook has announced that they're going to delete live streams after 30 days. So if you're watching this on Facebook, after 30 days, it's not going to be available. Of course, it'll still be available on YouTube, and it will be available on the X platform. But YouTube has decided they can't store any more live videos, so they're deleting live videos after 30 days from now on. Does it look like spring? There's the bird feeder, of course. It's starting to look like spring. There's no leaves yet. All the oak trees are completely bare, but that should be happening during the month of April. They should start getting flowers, and then the leaves will come around. Usually I don't mow the grass until sometime in April. The birds are happy. We have a suet feeder, which they really like. You can see the starlings there. And then we also have another seed feeder. It's a seed distributor. They can watch, they can get the seed. So usually they're doing pretty good with that stuff. So this new animation between scenes like this and that is a new feature of Ecamm Live 4.4. Live something, live action. I forget what the heck it is. So we had one of the things that we had. I want to bring this up. Let's bring this up. One of the things that we had over last week was is our friend Philip Hodgetts and Gregory Clark are moving back to Down Under. They're moving back to Australia. So I had Philip on a special edition of Final Cut TV last week. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to watch it.
When it was new, you've had 11, 12 years, 13, nearly 14 years of upgrades for free that, have cost us time and effort and to keep up. And, we multiply that by 13 apps. There's a lot of effort goes in just to stay where you are. So we're trying to work out what are the best options. And I think our approach is always going to be an optional approach. Sadly,
Right.
we're also limited somewhat by what we get options from the Mac App Store. Because the option that I really like is that you can buy it by the month, rent it by the year, or pay out a figure. There may be 2 years or 3 years of rental.
Right. Philip and Greg are moving back to Australia, I think this week. And they can't, you can watch the video, it's a really good video talking about the move and everything. They can't get into the house that they've bought in Australia until, they're not sure, by August at some point. So they're going to do a 75-day road trip in Australia. And they're going to do some live videos, or not live, but they're going to record videos of their road trip when they get back to Australia. It doesn't really affect my relationship with Philip and Greg. I only see them once a year in person at the Creative Summit, and they're still coming to the Creative Summit. Sometimes I used to see them at NAB, but they haven't been to NAB for years. And I'm not sure if I'm going to NAB this year. So it doesn't affect the in-person interaction that we have because they're still going to be at the Creative Summit. And it doesn't really affect getting them on Final Cut TV because they have faster internet in Australia. That's what Philip said. It's faster than what they have in the States. Apple, if you're watching, my Focusrite audio interface doesn't work on my iMac since the last major update. Please fix it. Also happened a few years ago. Maybe that's a Focusrite issue. Maybe Focusrite has to update their drivers. I don't know. Do I have a Focusrite? I think I have a Focusrite or something. I forget what I've had. I haven't had any problem with any of my audio interfaces whatsoever. And I'm on the my Mac Mini, I had to update to the latest version of the Mac OS. And my MacBook Pro, I have 3 different versions of Mac OS. I can go back to whatever the heck they are. I don't even remember anymore. So let me pull this up. This is another video since we had spring, which happens to be my birthday. The first day of spring is my birthday. This is a little video I did of a local looking for spring. Looking for spring. This is new, last year or so. This is a local town where I live, Sykesville, Maryland, Main Street. First day of spring. Carroll County, Maryland, just happens to also be my birthday. There's the Vine on Main, of course, a staple here on Main Street. Look at that beautiful blue sky. Definitely spring sky. Stay tuned. We've been tuned for a year or longer. Old train station. I'm looking for spring.
What's that?
I'm looking for spring.
For spring?
Yeah, have you seen spring?
I think spring is here.
What do you have in your hands? Those things used to be like $10 a dozen.
I know. I have eggs and bacon, and now I'm driving the recycling.
Ah, what do they cost now? I know they've come down.
I honestly don't know. My family owns the place, and so I just write it down.
I know it's come down for the last 3 or 4 weeks. The price has come
It's
down.
wild.
Yeah.
Are you making a movie or something?
Yeah, I'm just doing a video. Just looking for spring.
Okay. Well, have a great day.
What's your first name?
I'm Ellie.
Thank you, Ellie.
You're welcome.
Sykesville and Tapsco So that's Railway. I did a little video. It's got like 4,000 views in 48 hours on Facebook. People really like the videos that I do, local videos. Daniel says he bought Caption Translator last week, but not Caption Animator yet. Great app. Caption Animator is really, really highly recommended. As a matter of fact, we have a picture of it here. Caption Animator available on the Mac App Store from our friends Philip and Greg. It's $19. $19. Great little app for translating Final Cut 11's audio to captions to actual subtitles. The street looks like a movie set. It actually was a movie set. John Waters filmed Crybaby down there. Iggy Pop was down there. Who was the guy in Crybaby, the main star? A bunch of people. They actually used it for a movie set. So the mic that I used was my DJI Mic 2. I had a lapel on. And this is what I'm talking about, recording the talent in front of the mic. This is why I did that tutorial. So I used, well, there's different ways to do it. I mean, you can just use the iPhone microphone for the talent in front and just record your audio locally on the DJI Mic 2, which would be fine. And then I'd go and post and clean up the audio with the mic in front. But that's why normally I would use this plugged into a DJI Mic 2. This is the MKE 400. I can't recommend it enough. It's really, I think it's the best sound. So, but there's something else I'm going to do. I'm going to do a test because sometimes either I don't have the MKE 400 with me or whatever. And what I want to do as a test is this. This just plugs in to one of my DJI transmitters. This would be to mic the talent in front of me, and then I'd have a lapel or a DJI transmitter on me. It's like a little gooseneck extension, but it should pick up audio pretty good for talent in front of me if I don't have the MKE 400 with me. Now, if I'm doing, sometimes I set up my iPhone on a monopod and I'll walk in front and interview somebody in front of the camera. In that case, I'll take my MKE 600 shotgun microphone plugged into a DJI transmitter and I'll hold it for them to talk if I'm in front of the camera with the talent. So there's different options available. But anyway, you can always presume that I'm using the DJI Mic 2 for me. Almost always. Here's my birthday balloons. First day of spring, my birthday. All righty. So there's not a whole lot. Is there any Final Cut Pro information? I'm looking. Let me see if I can find a Had a problem with cables encoding of episode 89. I provided 720p 5994. They convert to 480i 2997, but somehow it aired 4.3 anamorphic. Trying to find out what compressor settings they have wrong. Blind. Why don't you just record it for them in 480i 2997 so they don't have to do any conversion? Why don't you make a copy and just give them whatever they're going to use? Now, when I had we had the showing of our documentary at the Greenbelt Theater, and of course, before I spit it out, because it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes with an intermission, I found out what they wanted, to broadcast, what frame rate, and they said they can use 24. They said up to 30 frames per second, anything up to 30 frames per second. So we did 30 frames because the DCP software that I have didn't have 2997 as an option. It only had 30. So I converted the 2997, Final Cut Pro did, to a 30 frames per second timeline, and that worked out fine. There was no sync issues whatsoever. They always do their own conversion. When I've tried, it would air deinterlaced. I got you. I'm not sure why. I don't know what. They did something wrong, obviously. That's always, before I show the documentary in the theater, myself or Jeff Krulik, my co-editor, co-producer, goes and watches the actual file in the theater before it airs to make sure everything's copacetic. Let me go over here and look see if I see any tutorials this week. I don't know if I have any tutorials this week. I know Buddy says happened with episode 88 as well. It took 3 tries to get it fixed. What was the problem? What was the problem? Looking for any Final Cut Pro tutorials. They don't remember what they fixed. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's see what we have over there. Let me see something here. Turn that down. Let me see what they have. Here we go. Got it. Let's watch this. Let's just a little bit. I'm not going to do a whole lot. Let me see, I got to switch this over to primary display. Nope. Safari. Here we go. Got to switch everything. Here we go. Well, that's not working. I think you know why? Because I muted it. Let me go unmute that. That's why. Or is it muted by default? It's not muted there. Huh. Hold on 1 second. Let me do All system audio. Let's see if that works. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Here we go. I presume you're hearing that. Let me, Nope, you're not hearing it? Okay, well, I have to, anyway, they got a, they got a tutorial out. I can't get the audio working properly. Mute that. Here we go. So I don't know. I didn't do anything ahead of time. I'll have to get, I'll make a collection. I'll get that video next week. If you have tutorials that you want me to mention on the show, send me the link to them. Send me the link to them. I'm going to be doing some more tutorials going forward, of course. I didn't do many over the winter time. I was kind of busy. I didn't have time. Becoming Led Zeppelin definitely is worth seeing in the theaters. I was surprised to see Jimmy Page playing at Telly in the early days. I've always associated him with Les Paul. No, Jimmy Page was a Telly guy for a long time. In the Yardbirds, Telly. He played a Telly in the Yardbirds at the beginning of Led Zeppelin. You know what? I not only saw Led Zeppelin at the Baltimore Civic Center. This is when I was barely in the early teens. I didn't even drive in those days. I had to get a ride. I saw Led Zeppelin at the Baltimore Civic Center. I also saw Led Zeppelin. The first time I saw Led Zeppelin was at Merriweather Post Pavilion, and they opened for The Who. Led Zeppelin opened for The Who at Merriweather Post Pavilion, and that's the first time that I saw them. Huge fans of both The Who and Led Zeppelin. I'm a big fan of both of them. Zeppelin was, every time I've seen them, incredible. I love their albums for the most part, and I've seen them, I think, 3 times. I think I saw them at the Cap Center one time, Capitol Center, before that was torn down. I saw them at the Civic Center, the Cap Center, and Merriweather Post Pavilion. Maybe somewhere else, I don't remember, opening for The Who. That was phenomenal show. Merriweather Post Pavilion in Columbia, Maryland. But I definitely will see the Led Zeppelin documentary. Absolutely. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. So, Final Cut TV and Coffee, we've been doing this. This is our 3rd year. We've started our 3rd year, 108 episodes. We're here every Saturday. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, something like that. Whatever my schedule works out to be. Today it was 10 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock. We've been on for an hour. So I'll go back and get some tutorials that I missed this week. Usually I just download the video and I play them in QuickTime Player, but I didn't know about the Ripple training one. I'm looking now, there's another sky replacement video effect by Ryan Nagel, and then Ripple training also has them. I mean, a lot of times people have overlapping Final Cut Pro tutorials. I see them all the time. Let's go back over here real quick. I'll see if I missed anything specific. A lot of likes on Facebook. A lot of likes on Facebook. So I do expect 11.0.2 to come out. If I had to predict, I'd say it's going to come out on a Monday. And it could come out anytime between now and June, WWDC. But I'd like to see 2 feature updates for Final Cut Pro between now and the Creative Summit. If they just do 1, that's appreciated, but that's really sparse as far as updates go, considering the fact that DaVinci Resolve puts out dozens and other companies do as well. And I know the Final Cut Pro team have heard about their feature update schedule from the users, and they say we're going to update things on our schedule since we know Final Cut Pro the best, and that's fine. What about your customers? Do you care about your customers? You should be. You should care about your customers. Your customers want more features to Final Cut Pro. You're really, sometimes you are very slow putting out feature updates. Now, we don't know the inside workings of how it works, but we see other companies that can do it. And I have complete faith that you can do it, the Final Cut Pro team. But I understand you know the best, but pay attention to your customers. Listen to your customers. Your customers want more frequent updates. Not dozens of new features. Give us a couple new features. It's been 4 months, 5 months since we got 11.0, and it's been like radio silence. We got 1 bug fix that took almost 90 days. And we're expecting you to be more proactive with some of these updates. And I'm on the side of the users here. I don't see why it's taking so long to get some features added to Final Cut Pro. Colors. Add some colors back in. Audio mixer. Give us more options in transcribing the audio. Give us the option for subtitles or whatever. So I'm really liking Final Cut Pro 11. I haven't had any problems. Other people have talked that they've had, but 11.0.2 could be just another bug fix, which would be kind of disappointing. But I expect we'll see a feature update or 2 anytime now. Could they time it for NAB, which is in 2 weeks? They could. They could. It would be nice if Apple added more resources to the Final Cut Pro team, even though they are having problems with adding the AI features. They promised the OS itself like a more intelligent Siri. That was a big flub. They started advertising AI last year, and it's still not where it needs to be 6 months later. So I don't know. I don't really care about the AI in the iPhone as much. I care about Final Cut Pro, and I care about the video cameras capability in these. So the iPhone 17, I'll get the iPhone 17 Pro Max in September. They've already started talking about improved video recordings and improved cameras. So I'll be getting that in September, most likely. I'll keep my iPhone 16 Pro Max. I always want 2 iPhones for the camera. So I'll keep my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I'll trade in my iPhone 15 Pro Max in September. That's what my plans are at this point. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to the summer months because it's like radio silence like it is now. There's been hardly any Final Cut Pro things to report on for the last 4 or 5 months. Big news at the Creative Summit. They did a great job with that. Final Cut Pro team absolutely did a great job with Final Cut Pro 11. They did a great job with presenting at the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit this time. They did it the best, I think the best they've ever done. They took us into this beautiful theater to do the presentation. They did a great presentation on Final Cut. But since then, there's been like nothing. It's been like a desert. Radio silence about Final Cut Pro news. Now, are they going to put out something before NAB? There's no Final Cut Pro activity at NAB, zero. Nobody is doing it. People that have done it in the past are not even presenting at NAB. Faster Together, LumaForge had a Faster Together stage for years. The Final Cut Pro team themselves, Final Cut Pro team themselves did presentations at NAB in 2017 and 2018, and in 2019, they were on the Faster Together stage. Other vendors have taken up the slack because Apple doesn't present at NAB anymore. I'm not really concerned that they don't, but that's my main impetus to go to NAB. If there's no Final Cut Pro activity, why would I go there? Just watch everything online. No more super meets. They had one super meet after Michael Horton and Dan Berube had their split. Dan did one super meet, which I really, really liked. That was 2021, I think. I think it was 2021, in person. None since then. So Super Meet's gone. Final Cut Pro presentations are gone. There's been nothing going on. People that used to support Final Cut Pro at NAB, nobody's doing it. Nobody, with the I'm sorry, Future Media Conferences has some Final Cut Pro tracks. Future FMC, who's a big, they work with Apple all the time for the Creative Summit. They do have some Final Cut Pro tracks, some different things. They're the only people that are doing anything Final Cut Pro related. I don't even know who's teaching those. Have no idea. But they do Final Cut Pro stuff. Do anybody here know if it's possible to have 3 similar size sensor for the ultra-wide main and tele cameras on the phone? The main camera is always better than the other two due to its size. We'll have to see what they do going forward. I wouldn't mind a bump up in optical zoom to get away from 5. We've had 5 for 2 years. I wouldn't mind a 6, 7, or 8 bump up. Richard, when they say we update Final Cut Pro at our own speed, that makes no sense. If users ask for an update, they will look elsewhere. Don't you think it lacks respect for Final Cut Pro's user base? Yes, that's my point. Yes. In my opinion, the Final Cut Pro team is restricted by what Apple allows them to do, by what Apple budgets them, their budget. Apple controls the budget. But when they say something like, we hear you as far as the updates go, but we will update Final Cut Pro on our schedule. On one hand, I understand that, but from a user's perspective, listen to your users, Final Cut Pro team. Listen to your users. Your users want more frequent updates. It's been 4 to 5 months since we got 11.0, and it's dead silence. You don't communicate with your users, and there's been no feature update added since then. Now, if you have one in the next month or two, that's fine. But we're starving for, not starving, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Final Cut Pro team, listen to your users. There's a way to do a combination of updating things according to the Final Cut Pro team schedule and listening to your users. Don't ignore your users. Don't say, no, we know best. We will update Final Cut Pro. We know how to update it. Listen to your users. It's got to be the number one complaint about Final Cut Pro is how slow the updates are. So get us, couple feature updates here, couple feature updates there. Don't give us one update a year with features. That's ridiculous. absolutely ridiculous, and I'm not going to sit there and pretend like it's not happening. I still use Final Cut Pro as my main NLE, but I use DaVinci Resolve and LumaFusion as well. I use both of them as well. So, little frustrating that they haven't done anything since November as far as a feature. Now, they could update something in time for NAB. They have 2 more weeks. I predict we'll get 11.0.2 on a Monday. That's their new Pro Apps release schedule. Logic did 2 on a Monday. Final Cut Pro did their 11.0.1 on a Monday. Why they switched, I have no idea. Keep us on our toes, I guess. To keep us on our toes. In any event, between now and June, we'll get 11.0.2. Maybe we'll get 11.0.3 between now and the Creative Summit with another feature or two. They can slip in small updates between now and then give us 11.1 in November at the Creative Summit. Probably. I've heard no word at this point whether there is going to be a Creative Summit. I presume there's going to be a Creative Summit. LumaFusion, which is a way smaller company than Apple, released features way faster than Apple at the moment. Bummer. Well, that's a mixed blessing, isn't it? They're smaller and they're more agile. They can do things. They don't have Apple corporate telling them what to do. Apple corporate saying, don't do this, don't do that. Here's your budget. Use it as you want. No, we're going to tell you how to update things. I understand it's complicated. But when you say we know how the best update Final Cut Pro, you're not listening to your users. You're like, users over here, we update it according to our schedule. Listen, add the users' requests when you consider when to update Final Cut Pro. Time to make the phone ring just for fun. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I think there's a couple. We'll come back to tutorials next week. I'll go ahead and download them and have them ready to go. There's a couple that I see that are up. As a matter of fact, there's two sky replacement videos for Final Cut Pro on YouTube. So we'll bring up both of those and play them a little bit next week. Next Saturday at the usual time. Spring is finally here. Spring is finally here on the good old East Coast of the USA. Any other questions or comments? Or otherwise, I'm going to get out of here and get on with the rest of my Saturday. Any other?
We're sorry, the number you have reached is not in service. Please check the...
I'm not answering that today. I got other things to do. Have a nice Saturday, Richard. It's been fun as always. Thank you very much. I'm going to get out of here and we will be back. If not, I do have a tutorial up. That one that I played is on my YouTube channel with the different microphones tested. Maybe users to start massive feedback requests for the team. Just do organized feedback. They get feedback all the time. Just do organized, professional feedback. I do when I have an issue. And we'll see what happens. I don't expect anything around NAB. Like I said, I'm not even sure if I'm going this year. The incentive to go is like down low. I have reservations, but we'll have to see over the next 2 weeks as to what I do as far as NAB goes. I'm not that excited about it. I used to be always excited. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, they all had Final Cut Pro events at NAB. It was always exciting. The Super Meet happens. The Super Meet was another big incentive to go to NAB. No more Super Meets at NAB. No Final Cut Pro events at NAB. I don't think any vendors have picked up any slack at NAB, with the exception that FMC absolutely has a Final Cut Pro track. So if you're a Final Cut Pro editor, definitely check out FMC's schedule, future media conferences. They do have some Final Cut Pro classes that they are teaching at NAB. But there's no events that have been announced. There's no buzz at NAB for Final Cut Pro unless they put out an update that has some features. I mean, they put out big number updates between full number updates before with features. I certainly expect a feature update to Final Cut Pro between now and the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit next November. If there is going to be one, I'm just going to presume that there is. I think last year was probably the best one ever. But anyway, we'll be back. If not before, we'll be back next Saturday. But I do have a tutorial up on my YouTube channel of the mic checks. It is up there. So if you get a chance, go over there, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's see how we go. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. You're the best. All the viewers, fantastic. You're all fantastic for tuning in each week. And we'll be back next Saturday, if not before. Go to my YouTube channel, like and subscribe, and check out the full video of the mics, of the mic check. It's there now, just for you. Do you ever discuss 32-bit audio? I just recently bought a Zoom 4 Essential. So my DJI Mic 2 records 32-bit audio. And yes, it's a superior audio format instead of 24-bit. But I went back to 24-bit because I've never took advantage in a year. I never took advantage of the 32-bit. There's nothing really that I'm recording that's that mission critical that I need 32-bit, but it's nice to have it. The DJI mic records 32-bit audio. Absolutely. It's better if you're doing mission critical stuff, but I find 24-bit in my case is plenty. I know, buddy. Have a great week. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If I don't see you before that, go over there and like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. That's it. YouTube.com @RichardTaylorTV is my YouTube channel. And our Facebook group, Facebook.com/groups, Final Cut TV Radio. Don't forget that the Facebook live streams are only going to be available for 30 days from now on. 30 days they're going to be available. So the YouTube will be on forever, but the Facebook live streams are only going to be available for 30 days, and then they're taking them down. So go to my YouTube channel. All right, everyone. Thanks you so much for tuning in, each and every one of you. I appreciate each and every one of you. If I don't see you before next Saturday, we'll see you next Saturday. Adios.